All right, good evening everyone again. Thank you for attending the 2023 Sports Hall of Fame banquet. As stated previously, we are so excited to be celebrating the greatest accomplishments and achievements of this class of 2023. Before we get started with the introductions, that's the highlight of the evening, I need to make a few brief comments and say a few thank yous. First of all, there he is. Can we give a huge round of applause to Tater and his staff at the Faribault Golf Club for their hospitality? Mr. Tater. Also thanks to Troy Temple for your time and service to our community. Your work's always outstanding, and hopefully this can be shared to others that are not able to be here tonight. So thank you, Troy. As stated, this is the 32nd annual Sports Hall of Fame banquet, which is quite an accomplishment. And we would not be here today without the leadership of the prior board members and volunteers that served Faribault Sports, Inc. in the Hall of Fame. There are too many people to name individually, but we want to thank everyone that's been a part of the Sports Hall of Fame. I would like to thank and recognize our current committee members for their hard work in planning this great celebration. They are all listed in your program. But if the committee members can please rise and be recognized, that would be great. Franz Bolter, Ken Hubert, Ruth Olson, Charlie Madsen, Mike Perodka, and Tim Tuznon. Again, thank you for your dedication to the community and the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame. It takes a lot of work, but seeing these inductees, families, and everyone here celebrating tonight makes it worth it. I would also like to thank all the donors and sponsors listed in your program. There were a few that came in late after the programs were printed, but as a nonprofit organization, we appreciate the financial support. Next, thank you. I'd like to thank my mom, Paula, and her team consisted of Ruth Olson for setting up and decorating the facility. So thank you two very much. Give them a round of applause. And then Brendan Cox, he's not here, he's with Plaid Gorilla Design, helped us with our program for this evening. We want to recognize all of the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame members that are in attendance this evening. I would be careful when listening to their stories, as I've heard multiple over the years, and it seems they get a little bit more exaggerated each year. We will not recognize each of them individually, but we would like to have, if you're in the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame, please rise and be recognized by your peers. Since our first banquet in 1990, several Hall of Fame members have passed away, but their legacies and stories will continue to live on for generations to come. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends of those members that are no longer here with us, and I would just like to take a moment of silence to honor these individuals. Thank you for that, and that's enough of me talking. Chris Reavers will be introducing our members, and we are so thankful he is here this evening. Chris is a graduate of Faribault High School. I think he graduated, yeah. Did you graduate? After graduating, he attended Minnesota State Mankato and went into the broadcasting industry. You can hear him daily with his coworkers on the Garage Logic podcast. Even though Chris and his family live in the metro area, he's played a key role for the Faribault Lakers baseball team. He's been involved for many years. He was instrumental in getting the Lakers to participate in the Town Ball Classic at Target Field, and then spent 2 years of his life preparing Bell Field and the community for the 99th State Amateur Baseball Tournament, which was a great success. Thank you, Chris, for your service, and you'll be up here shortly. The bios tonight were written by Coach Franz Bolter, so we want to thank him for doing that. Chris will read the bio for each member, or introduction, and then they'll have a few minutes. I guess I would keep it at a few minutes if we can, but it's your time to shine. And I know all of you are competitive, and one of the records you do not want is the longest Sports Hall of Fame banquet presentation. So I'll introduce Chris Reavers, and we'll get started with our program.
Thank you, Brent. And also thank you to the board for having me back as the introduction. It's a privilege and an honor to be back in my hometown. Let's start. Jim Anderson, a 1977 graduate of Faribault High School. Jim Anderson was a 3-year letter winner in football, 1 year in basketball, and 2 years in baseball. It was on the gridiron that he truly excelled. He was named All Big Nine twice and was a captain in an all-state selection as a senior. He is quick to give the credit for his high school success to his coaches and teachers. Jim singled out Charlie Madsen, his teacher and coach in junior high, as well as his varsity baseball coach. Credit was also particularly given to Jim Tetzloff, but he said there were also so many others who gave him confidence along the way. Anderson's success at the high school level resulted in him being given a football scholarship to the University of Minnesota as an offensive lineman. He played all 4 years from 1977 to 1981 and was a letter winner. Besides his athletic success, he was also given the distinguished honor of being a Williams Scholar for his academic achievements. He also had the privilege of being coached by the legendary Gopher assistants Butch Nash and Roger French. Nash was his offensive line coach, and Anderson said he was a man of strong character who taught him to hold himself to a high standard. While with the Gophers, he played with Marion Barber, a great college running back who also had a great NFL career. Education was always important to Jim, as is evidenced by his college degrees. Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from the U of M, William Mitchell College of Law, and Masters of Arts Education from the University of St. Thomas. He has paid forward the great things he learned from all of his coaches through a variety of coaching positions, including varsity B squad, freshman football at Matamita High School. He's currently coaching at the 9th grade level. He also coached baseball and basketball at the 9th grade level. Anderson believes that sports can play an important role in the development of individuals. Besides the skills necessary to be athletically successful, sports help individuals to build the skills that will last forever. Don't worry, I have a little one. And they teach the teamwork necessary in achieving common goals. He feels that the keys to success in life are the willingness to take chances, hard work, and persistence. However, he believes that it takes people in your life who are there to encourage and support you along the way. Jim and his wife, Karen, reside in Birchwood Village, Minnesota, and they have one daughter. Congratulations, Jim, and welcome to the Sports Hall of Fame.
All right, I will keep this short. When I got the call this summer from Charlie Madsen, it was an extreme surprise, and I was extremely humbled and honored to be chosen to be part of this Hall of Fame family. It's a wonderful honor, and I want to thank all the members of the committee for making me a part of this. One of the things is that came through for me is I had a lot of support along the way. My parents, my family, brother and sister were very supportive. I had great coaches through junior high and high school, and I was fortunate to grow up in Faribault, where I had wonderful friends, teachers and coaches that supported me. I certainly wouldn't have been here without all the many teachers and coaches that really encouraged me. I was a shy 7th and 8th grader, and it was because of them that I ended up having the confidence to be able to compete. So I owe an awful lot to them. When I decided to become a teacher and work as a coach, I kind of realized that I wanted to be them. I wanted to be Charlie Madsen. I wanted to have that opportunity to make a difference in people's lives like they made in my life. So it is with great honor and humbleness that I thank you for being a part of this. And again, the people that made a difference in my life made me want to become a teacher and a coach so that I could hopefully have a little bit of influence like they had on me. So thank you once again. Last thing, and this I do have to tie this in because I thought a lot about this as I was watching the Hours of Minnesota State High School League video to be able to coach this year. They focused one point on coaches are either transactional or transformational. The transactional coaches are worried about wins and losses. The transformational coaches are the ones that transform young lives. And I have to say that I was so lucky to have all these coaches in Faribault that were transformational. They really did transfer. They transformed who I was and made me the person I am today. So thank you very much.
Great message, Jim, and welcome to the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame. Our next induction, or the inductee, is Luke Benoit. And no Charlie Madsen, he's not giving out free golf lessons today, so you're out of luck.
A 2000 graduate and tremendous golfer for Faribault High School. Luke has made golf his profession. However, it has been a steady progression that began at a young age. His grandpa Ray got Luke into the game at the age of 13. Though he was a late starter to the game, Luke was highly motivated to excel, playing more than 200 rounds of golf per year from ages 13 to 23. He ended his high school career with the lowest scoring average per round in the Big Nine his senior year, averaging 72.4. He then went on to play collegiately at Gustavus Adolphus College, where he was a three-time Division III All-American and had the second lowest scoring average per round in school history. He was also the national D3 runner-up in 2004, as well as an academic All-American. Following graduation, Luke played in the mini tours for 2 years, and he has won more than 20 tournaments as a professional. In addition, he earned a Master's of Education degree in kinesiology and a PhD in motor learning, specifically as it pertains to the golf swing. Today, Luke's main focus is on teaching others. He is the Director of Instruction at Interlochen Country Club in Edina, where he has heavily researched club speed. He has instructed state high school champions, college golfers, and PGA professionals. He has also been recognized multiple times by Golf Digest as one of the top young instructors in the country and as Minnesota's best in state twice. He has also golfed in 4 professional PGA championships. I'm not that good. In 2019, Luke founded Ripstick, one of the leading speed training tools in all of golf. On November 1st, he will open a 12 simulator teaching facility in Edina called the Rip Academy. His greatest joy besides spending time with his family is teaching golf. His students have enjoyed tremendous success in golf, winning both the men's and women's state amateur tournaments, the State Open, and the Junior PGA Championship. Congratulations on a great career, and welcome to the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame, Luke.
Well, I'm humbled to be up here, and what Jim said, I can really second. We're all a product of our environment, and I grew up playing golf here at Faribault Country Club. I'd ride my bike. I lived on the east side of town. It was like a 3-mile bike ride over. Just didn't seem like a big deal. I'd put the clubs on my back and just go. So my love for the game was really instilled by my grandpa, Ray Freund, and Ray taught me how to curve the ball both ways. So I started golfing when I was around 13, playing a lot of sports growing up, and he said, you got to learn how to curve it left, curve it right, and then you spend the rest of your life trying to hit it straight. And that's really how I kind of began. I didn't really know what I was doing. And going to this golf course, if you've played out here, we've lost a lot of trees. But there was a time where there were pine trees everywhere. And so you kind of had a choice, like learn how to hit it straight or learn how to get it out of the trees. And I got really good at getting it out of the trees. So curving it around trees was my game. So I wasn't a great high school player. Tim Two's not my coach, is here today. But I got better as I got into it, and it wasn't always pretty, Tuesday. You and I played some similar sorts of shots at times. Tuesday, I have to say, you were for me the perfect golf coach. You were never out there trying to fix my golf swing. I didn't even know how to fix it either, nobody did. But I would find myself in some weird spots under trees, and you were super calm. I think compared to a wrestling match, it felt very, very calm to you. So it was such a good experience for me. And I felt like I had so much support from coaches and teachers and the community, and I think about now my life as a coach. Basically what I do is I coach kids and I coach adults, and I do some business stuff as well, but it's all about kind of paying it forward. And Faribault was a great community for me. And I thank all the committee members, particularly Brent, to put it on the radar and gave me the call. And very thankful to be from Faribault and for all you people here.
Up next, we got our first wrestler, I'll call him a wrestler in the room, Greg Kamilek. So anytime you're with a bunch of, they hate wrestling all year, and then when they get around you, they all want to wrestle. So I don't get it, but welcome to the Hall of Fame, Greg.
A 1982 graduate of Faribault High School, Greg was a three-sport athlete who lettered 3 times in wrestling and twice in football and track. He left his mark in wrestling, leading the Falcons to the 1982 Big Nine Championship and a state consolation championship. He was also honored to have been a valuable member of Faribault's 1980 Big Nine Football Co-Championship. Individually, he wrestled in 3 state tournaments, and he was named the Faribault Wrestler of the Year in 1982 after placing 3rd at the state meet. That high school success earned him the opportunity to wrestle at Division III Power Augsburg College, where he lettered in both wrestling and football all 4 years. It was in wrestling where he again excelled, but he was also an outstanding 4-year starter on the football team at offensive tackle. He was the Augie football MVP in 1984, the MIAC Offensive Player of the Week in 1984, and the captain in 1985, and also first team all-conference in 1985. It seems unlikely that his wrestling prowess could exceed his achievements on the gridiron, but not so. His wrestling teams were conference champions all 4 seasons, and he was a MIAC champion in both 84 and 85, and Division III All-American at heavyweight those 2 years as well. In addition, his leadership skills were once again recognized as he was named team captain in 1986 and 1987. Greg also gave many years back to wrestling as a coach and official. He spent many years volunteering as a youth coach, and he was the Rushford Peterson head coach from 1992 to 1995. He also was a Minnesota wrestling official from 2015 to 2020. Greg is quick to credit all the teammates he had, both in high school and in college. He says that they played together, practiced together, did off-season training together, became great friends, and shared in the exhilaration and the heartaches of the athletic adventures. He notes you are only as good as those that you practice with, so I must thank all of my teammates. Greg and his wife Julie have been married for 31 years and have 2 sons, Dalton and Tristan. Congratulations, Greg, on your induction into the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, boy, can people hear me in the back?
Probably not. Here he is.
Again, gonna make me use this? All right. So they were very concise, and I might not be so much, but I usually not one for public speaking a great deal, but a couple things that I'll point out up here. First of all, I want to thank the committee for the nomination. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. And I want to congratulate the other inductees tonight. So, he's going to do it to me the whole time, isn't he? All right. Hey, sweetie, that's my granddaughter, named Jo. So, I'm going to go all the way back to grade school, and I know Brent is now groaning, going, "Oh no!" So I'll make it quick. Near Strand boy, out in the country, one of the farm kids. We started out with athletics out there with the Faribault the Near Strand Volunteers Cub Football League. Came in, played against the Butter Colonels and the police, and we got slaughtered every year. The 3 years we had. Ron Haas was our coach. Great guy. First good coaching experience I had. And quite frankly, from there on, had good coaching experiences in Faribault from then out. The other 2 talked about our coaches, and we had exceptional coaches, and I'll say that right off the start. And we were so lucky and fortunate to have them here. Besides football out there, we were known for wrestling out in Near Strand. We did the community ed tournaments, and remember wrestling in the old junior high school auditorium. You'd get to do that city tournament. If you won, you got your picture in the paper, which was pretty cool, And then also, who else? I know we got some Tucsonots here and such, and the Faribault Green Machine Wrestling Team. Our parents my mom there sewed one of the uniforms for the Green Machine Wrestling Team, and our fundraisers with the candy bars and our practices all over the place, and coached by Ed Kane, Dave Ring. If you guys remember Dave Ring, great guy, and the support of Bob Burke. He loved the wrestling team, and so all those guys need some credit there. at that point in time, you get into junior high school. Obviously, you've noted it. I'm a big guy, always have been. You know, junior high school is awkward enough, just going there from a small school. But if you're a big guy as well, it's like, oh man, this is something. And athletics, you know, in junior high school are important. They give these people that might stray down a wrong path, if they are pushed a little bit, put you on the right path, you know. And me, and I shouldn't say that, my friends and I, a lot of us, my friends and I, you know, the athletics kind of probably saved us from going down that wrong path. You know, we had football. Some of the things you remember about football in junior high school is you'd go down to, we were practicing at Alexander Park, and we'd run back to shower in the locker rooms and such, and we might sneak a drink over at the Faribault Woolen Mills. You guys remember that? Walk a little bit when the coaches weren't watching you and such, but that was all good experience. Oh, and the other thing, I'm going to age myself here now. They gave us salt pills, and they'd give us these little yellow salt pills when we came back from practice, and drank them down. It's like, I guess that was early Gatorade. I'm not sure what it was, but that was interesting. And then, of course, there was wrestling. Ron Toon and the gang down in the lowest levels of the old junior high school, the old lower gyms, and the wrestling room was on one side, the gymnastics room was on the other side, and they were both glass topped, looked like greenhouses, you know, and you'd sit and watch. You could see the snow coming down. Hopefully you didn't see it too much, because that meant you were on your back, you know. But you could see the snow coming down. And Ron Toon and that whole coaching staff, you know, again, just did an absolutely marvelous job. You know, got into high school, and first experience in high school was 2-day practices. Harvey Schultz, Dwayne Prell were our coaches for B Squad. We were the Whiteheads because we wore white helmets and the varsity had the yellow helmets, but we were the Whiteheads. And you know, great team that year, great coaches. Harvey Schultz, I want to just point him out a little bit. You know, Harvey was a lot to me in high school. He was my football coach. He was my track coach. He was the first person that started having us weight train, which wasn't really a normal thing back then. We were up in the upstairs of the of the pool, and we had a universal weight machine. And Harvey would open up at certain times, and we'd go up, and that was the first introduction to weightlifting. You know, on top of that, he announced some of the wrestling matches. Was always at the wrestling matches and such. And then, of course, he was a teacher of mine as well. You know, and every once in a while, I got a little too big for my britches, and Harvey was always very quick to let me know it, and I deserved it sometimes. Okay, but that was the first time where, you know, he really made you think, what am I doing? And it really turned me into a better person and a great teammate for everybody. So hats off to Harvey Schultz. So I just wanted to point him out tonight. And then, of course, you went on into the high school varsity. You had Rich Oliphant in the gang, Ted Thompson, Lowell Nolan, all that crew. And I know I'm forgetting people and such, but you know, we had a great team then. Both years we were up there. And it wasn't the same playoff system as there is now. At that time, if you didn't win all your games from Faribault, you weren't going on, really. It would be interesting to see how our teams would have did if we would have been in that current playoff system right now. It would have been fun. But Rich was a great guy, the whole coaching staff. Lowell Noland, another one that I just want to point out. He was one of the football coaches. John, he wasn't mine. He was with the linebackers, but John Roach, he was his coach, and John's here tonight. And Lowell was really something special. He was not only the coach, but he was our AD. And you know, you'd see Lowell bouncing down the hallway, you know, had that spring in his step and always a smile on his face, unless you got him mad, okay? But he knew everybody that was in every sport. And he'd see you and he'd go, hey, good luck tonight in Red Wing. I can't be there, but I'd love to be, but I know you're going to do great. And he knew everybody in every sport and their schedule. anybody here that knew Lowell Nolman knows I'm telling the truth. He was just one of those guys, and if you saw somebody that looked athletic and wasn't on a team, he tried to get him on that team. He went after him and said, "What are you doing? You get out here." And so he was a fabulous guy. It was really a gem, and really Faribault was fortunate to have it. And I think highly of him. He was another person that really changed life, and loved to give you your letters and your numbers and your bars and stuff when you went into his little office on that north side of the school, and he goes, "Congratulations!" He always made you feel so good, as long as you were doing good. So, and then of course there's wrestling. Dick Shields and Dave Kinney and Doug Augustine, Jim Huber, all that crew, you couldn't ask for more on coaches. Again, we're going back to that issue of the coaches, and they were fabulous. A premier program in the state is to this day. Faribault's known for wrestling. Everybody knows if you're from Faribault, "Ooh, did you wrestle?" And if you did, it's like, "Oh, okay." So, great. We had great teams. My senior year obviously was right out of you couldn't have asked for more. The town support and I was talking to Lyle earlier, and he was saying that on our state tournament they were playing it on the radio, during school, and it was just a great time here in Faribault. Everybody knew who you were when you were walking down the street, and it was just fabulous. Nobody will forget the Albert Lee match down at Albert Lee when we won the Big Nine. That was amazing. That's all I'm going to say. Unfortunately, that year did not end the way we would have liked it to. We left a little bit of a hole, but didn't diminish the year, So that was, wrestling. I got one story about Dick Shields, and so my junior year, and this is the kind of respect he demanded. That's why I'm going to tell it. My junior year, it was in sectionals, and they were over at St. Olaf. And I was seated second going into the sectionals. Had been to state the year before, and so here's big tough me. I'm going out there, and I seated second. Oh, we'll get into the next day and stuff. And I went out and I lost to this kid from Winona. His name, I'll remember his name. It's Lazowski. Okay, and I'm like, it's kind of like, don't you know who I am? I'm like, you're not supposed to beat me, And so I was pretty mad, and I came off the mat and I threw my headgear. And so docked us a team point, and you guys know how big Dick Shields was. He came over to me and he put me up against the wall, and he had me by my singlet, and he started going, "You're a Faribault wrestler. We don't do that. You know better than that. I never want to see that again. You're going to put your head on straight, and you're going to go out and you're going to wrestle, and you're going to come back for true second." And I went, "Yes, sir." and I did. But he really commanded. He had a commanding presence. Let's put it that way. Okay, so I'm getting too long-winded. I will stop here now. So I'm just looking forward to seeing this success going forward with Faribault. Shane Gunderson, I'm sure I'm looking forward to see things going with this program and continuing the success from Faribault in the past. And I put two of my kids through it, Dalton and Tristan. They were Faribault Falcons, and maybe my granddaughter here, Navy Joe, might be sporting a Falcon outlet someday, and that would be great. I want to thank my friends that showed up here tonight. John, Randy, and Randy are back there somewhere. They said they were going to harass me, but they didn't, but that's all right. Yeah, there they are. But thanks for coming again. It goes back to that thing with our teammates. You truly are only as good as the people you practice with, and your teammates are so very important. I will make one note. Randy Ernst, my toughest match I had my senior year was on senior skip day at Cedar Lake on the island. And we'll leave it at that. If anybody wants to get more details on it, we can talk about that later. All right. Can't sit down without thanking my mother, Darlene, who's here with us tonight. You know, think about your parents and how many hours they did dragging you to practice and dragging you to this tournament and all over the place. And I know it's payback. We all did it too, but that's a pretty special thing. And I don't think they get thanks all the time. She was my number one fan and my number one supporter. So thanks, Mom. And finally, I'll just thank the committee once again. And I accept this honor on behalf of my teammates, my friends, my coaches, and my family. You know, it wouldn't happen without that entire group. I guess that's all I got. I'll leave it at that. Been too long. Thank you again.
Congrats, Craig, on your induction to the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame. We'll be at the bar all night if you want to hear that story about Cedar Lake. I think we're all going to jump on that. Seems like the last few years we've had a number of outstanding female athletes from VA from their dominant volleyball and basketball programs, and this year is no different. So let's welcome up Chris to introduce Jesse Matthews, Otto Fisher.
A 2013 graduate of Bethlehem Academy, Jessie left her name all over the record books for both volleyball and basketball, as she was on the varsity squad for 5 years in each sport. Her drive, work ethic, and team-first attitude was applauded by everyone who coached her. Hence, her high school accomplishments and personal tributes gave her offers to play both sports in college. She helped to lead her volleyball team to the state championship in 2009, 2011, and 2012, and conference championships all 4 years. She was named All-Conference 4 times and All-State twice, and she made the All-State tournament team in 2011 and 2012. In addition, Jessie was voted MVP by her teammates in both of those years. She was also named a team captain 2 of those years. Her favorite sport, however, was basketball, and she was a 3-year captain and 4-time All-Conference player. She led her team to a 3rd-place finish in the 2013 state tournament, a year in which she was named All-State and All-State tournament team. She finished her career as the BA girls' all-time leader in scoring, assists, and steals. When her high school career ended, she committed to play collegiately at St. Mary's University, but knee injuries derailed her hopes. Therefore, she had to coach in college rather than play. She was a 2-year student assistant at St. Mary's, and then filled the same role for 2 years at the University of Minnesota Duluth, when her St. Mary's coach took the head job at UMD. Being highly regarded for her coaching, she was then hired as a grad assistant for 2 years at UMD before becoming a top assistant for 2 more years. During those 2 years, UMD won the Northern Intercollegiate Conference Championship and made a run in the National Division II tournament both years. Jessie, in identifying the keys to success, states, "It's about hard work and dedication to the small things. Having an unwavering belief in your coaches, your teammates, and yourself is critical. Then you have to have the desire and discipline to try and get 1% better every day." She adds, "Sports teach you valuable lessons that can be applied to many areas of life. Long after you leave the court, sports taught me how to find joy in both trials and success, how to dedicate yourself to something, and how to lead with integrity. Sports provides you with the opportunity to grow as a person, a leader, and a teammate. All things that you'll someday need in your job." Jessie and her husband Zach are the parents of daughters Quinn and Gracie. Congratulations, Jessie, and welcome to the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame.
Thank you, and first and foremost, congratulations to all the inductees. What an honor it is for all of us to be joining the Faribault Hall of Fame. I should start by saying my love for public speaking is very small. Franz Bolter can probably attest to that. So I'm going to keep this pretty short. I've been blessed with some amazing opportunities in my life, and truthfully, all of that is due to the people that surrounded me and supported me. First and foremost, my parents, who are both sitting right there in the front row like always. Thank you for the hours you spent driving me to and from practices, games, for the unwavering support through the challenges, the joys, and probably most importantly, for reminding me that my identity isn't found in the sports that you play. So I appreciate both of you, and thank you for being my number one fans. To my siblings, Drew, to simply put it, thanks for being tough on me and never taking it easy. I think I probably cried every time you rejected me in the backyard, but deep down, I knew you were making me better. And to my younger sister, still to this day, our sports careers are some of my favorite memories. I'm just super thankful that I got to do it with my best friend. That's a pretty unique and special opportunity. To all the others that supported me, grandparents who are here, aunts and uncles who are here, cousins, I couldn't ask for a better family or team. To a few specific coaches, Franz Bolter, Sue Jandro, who's here, Abby Smarja, who's here, and then Tammy Filzen and Melissa Hager. Having spent a few years coaching myself, there are not enough words to say thank you to coaches for all that they do for all of us. And those 5 that I just listed there, you're not only great coaches, but you're great people, and I'm just super thankful that I was surrounded by you. Coaches in sports in general have taught me so many life lessons that I use every single day, whether it's finding joy in the journey, nothing worth having or achieving in life comes without sacrifice and hard work, or being uncomfortable is the best place to learn about yourself. And then lastly, to never give up. While never giving up seems like a pretty obvious statement, I think, coming from coaches, I never realized until I had kids how ingrained in me that was. A quick story on that, our 2-year-old who's running around here somewhere, a couple of months ago, my husband was talking to her about something, and she turned and looked at him and said, "Well, Mom says you always try again." And truthfully, I didn't even realize I had said it that many times, right? I probably just did every time she didn't get something right. You say, try again, you can do it. And that was my reminder that sports is about so much more than X's and O's. And as a parent now, I realize that. So I was lucky that I had parents that instilled that in me. The coaches I just talked about. I'm just super thankful for those life lessons and how those have translated to my life today. And while being inducted into the Hall of Fame is a great honor, it's something that doesn't happen without all of these people. So to all of you that I just mentioned and all of you here in the community, thank you for all that you do for Faribault sports.
Up next, fortunate to have Coach Bill Nelson as one of my coaches, so Chris will come up and introduce Bill Nelson to the Hall of Fame. I still use it, Coach. RICE, rest, ice, compress, and elevate anytime my kids get hurt, so it stuck with me for 25 years.
And Brent just stole my opening line.
It stuck in.
It did. A decorated high school and college football and track and field athlete at Hutchinson High School and Texas Lutheran University, Nelson brought his skills and leadership to FHS in the early 70s. He was an assistant football coach from 71 to 1980, and again from 1988 to 1999. He was also a legendary head track coach for the Falcons from 1972 to 1981, and again from 1988 to 1999, where sadly he tried to make a kid that couldn't hit a curveball into a track athlete. I failed miserably. In between those stints, he also had years of success at other schools. Combining his involvement with the football and track and field programs, Nelson was in a leadership role in the total of 8 Big Nine championships. He specialized coaching of individuals, truly set him apart in both sports. In track and field, he coached over 100 Big Nine individual champions and over 100 All-State individuals. In recognition of his tremendous success, he was named Region Track and Field Coach of the Year 4 different times. He also developed the first off-season and in-season sports, strength, conditioning, and injury prevention program in the Big Nine, and second only behind Apple Valley in the state of Minnesota. In addition, he started a huge 1,000 participant track and field meet that gained national attention in the 70s for being the first co-ed meet to use metric measurements. As a football assistant coach with the Falcons, he was instrumental not only with the team success, but also in developing individuals who succeeded not just for the Falcons, but in many cases in college as well. Always grateful for his coaching experience in Faribault, Nelson is quick to share the credit for the successes he and his athletes enjoyed. Faribault was considered one of the very best places in Minnesota for hosting premier high school co-ed track and field meets. We had excellent support from the school administration and community when it came to hosting many successful Big Nine track and field meets. Even though many spectators came to watch the meets, the number of participants went outnumbered the total number of spectators, as we often had over 1,000 participants. Quite a big deal. Title IX had just been enacted, and we flaunted. It really takes a village to have successful teams, and that village was Faribault. Reflecting his coaching philosophy, Nelson added, "As a coach, it was always important and rewarding to watch each athlete develop skills and confidence, and each year see the size of the track and field teams increase. Athletes who once viewed track as too much work were joining the team because they wanted to be part of that success. Your work with these many athletes truly is legendary, Coach. Congratulations and welcome to the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame."
This will be a little, excuse me, I'm all choked up. This will be a little different because I'm a coach, and I think I'm the only coach that's going into the Hall of Fame this year. Most of you probably don't know me and have never heard of me, so there won't be much time scrutinizing my past coaching achievements at Faribault High School, for which I am being honored. However, it really takes a village to achieve a dominant track and field program and administer exceptional track and field meets. One person cannot take credit for that kind of success. Furthermore, my contribution to Faribault High School football and the sports conditioning program was an essential part of our entire coaching staff's absolute desire for excellence in winning conference championships. A very challenging endeavor in our neck of the woods, and I'm sure you would all agree. Therefore, I must acknowledge and salute some important Faribault friends who enabled me to qualify for this much appreciated award. And specifically, the Hall of Fame committee members, Ruth, Mike, Charlie, Tim, Franz, Ken, and Brent. And for sure, and this guy's name has been mentioned before tonight, Harvey Schultz. Harvey gave me the head coaching job. He decided he wanted to go back to graduate school, and he asked if I could be the coach to replace him. And so I will always be grateful to Harvey for doing that for me. And that's when I started my career as a coach. Later, Harvey returned as a wonderful assistant coach. And that was truly, as I saw it, a magnificent, unselfish gesture, because he had given up the head coaching job to me. But he came back and was a tremendous assistant coach. Also, Virgil Ayers, who is here, he accepted and assisted in my innovative, in quotation mark, and sometimes unusual at that time, approach to coaching high school track and field. And then he went on to become a very successful head coach that you are now aware of. And he's also, I think, in the Hall of Fame. But Virgil and I had a great time when I started. Can you still remember that, Virgil? The crazy things that we did? Okay, I'm going to talk about that a little later. The other person, Lowell Nomlin, he was our athletic director, and he let me do my job. And he helped me do it better. Mark Silberroot, who is here tonight, a devoted and talented assistant coach who trained many top caliber distance runners. Just a fabulous coach. Wayne Olson, is Wayne here? Wayne was one of my first outstanding track and field athletes. And he later became one of my assistant coaches for many, many years. And I cannot forget all the loyal people who helped Faribault become the very best place to host a track meet. Without a doubt, Faribault was and still is the best place to conduct a top-tier high school track and field meet. A big reason for that has been the hard work and commitment of the current head track and field coach, Dave Weaver. And of course, the many talented Faribault athletes I was privileged to coach who just needed to be pointed in the right direction to be successful. That list is incredibly long and celebrated. Finally, it should be noted that my head coach designation came in 1972. That's a long time ago. The first year of Title IX and the official equal inclusion of girls' sports into the Minnesota State High School League. I don't recall any inconvenience caused by that mandate. In fact, I believe there was a great sense of cooperation with the girls, and we actually did some training together, like our warm-up and our yoga stretching routine. Yes, we were really doing yoga in the mid-1970s. Way ahead of our time. I was a progressive coach, and I tried a lot of innovative techniques, new equipment, nutrition, footwear, and so on. And doing stretching with the girls wasn't disrupting to me. Maybe it was distracting to the boys, but I never asked their opinion. But I think they really liked it. The girls' coaches were great. Generally, I think the girls liked practicing side by side with the boys. In our Falcon Relays meet, we actually had boys and girls competing in the same relay event. A revolutionary idea never repeated in the 1970s. On, by the way, the first metric measured track in the state of Minnesota. Yes, that was indeed a long time ago, so long ago that only a handful of us in this room can remember that. It actually got national attention. I had friends from Texas, believe it or not, call me to tell me they heard me in a live interview on national radio talking about the first ever co-ed metric high school track meet in the nation, right here in Faribault. And Faribault's own Ted Nelson, former 800-meter world record holder from Faribault, was our in-person honorary starter that night. And the current track is named after that same Ted Nelson. No relation, by the way. Faribault has always had many outstanding individual track and field champions like Ted Nelson. But 2 decades later, after finishing second and third many times in the team conference championships, our Falcon boys track teams finally put a string of impressive conference championships together from 1994 to 1998. And these were the first since 1939 and 1951. That's how hard, how difficult it is for teams to win conference championships. It's very, very difficult. It's been fun reminiscing, and it's been a great ride, and I really appreciate the recognition. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but at 80 years old, I am still coaching. I think you better see my coaching first. Here's a great story, and this is true. I was coaching preschool kids baseball. Yes, baseball. This past summer in Edina. During the last game of the session, I was pitching to a 4-year-old girl. She stepped up to the plate, took a mighty swing, and drilled the ball out into left field. She took off running, and as she was rounding second base, a little guy had picked up the ball and was chasing her, trying to tag her out. He finally caught her just before third base, and I was trying to be a little bit dramatic, and I said, "You're out of there!" And she turned and she looked at me and she screamed, "I don't want to be out! I don't want to be out!" And then her screaming turned to sobs. And she said, "I wanted to hit a home run." Yep, I think most of us want to hit a home run every time we step up to the plate. Thank you, Faribault, for remembering me. I think I may have hit a home run. And that's hard to do in track and field. So cheers to all Big Nine champions. It's really, really, really hard to do. So thank you very much.
All right, I think this is the first for our committee. We get to induct 2 members. I don't know if they arm wrestled over house doing it, and I think Joel's going to help out a little bit, as it sounds like Lyle had a little cough, but we'll welcome up. We never know if it's Ruth and Lyle or Lyle and Ruth, or which. They're just always together, so I'm glad they're going into the Hall of Fame together. Lyle and Ruth Olson.
After being put in attention, I'm definitely introducing Ruth first. Ruth and Lyle Olson become the first couple ever to be inducted into the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame together. And it's easy to understand why they must go in together. Anyone who has followed Falcon athletics for the past decades know how Ruth and Lyle have been tremendous fans, advocates, and volunteers for the school's athletes and students in general. In addition, each is taught in the Falcon's Faribault school system, supporting not just athletes, but all students in all activities. They represent an often unrecognized component of successful athletics, that of being the people behind the scenes who are so critical to the success and advancement of all the programs. Ruth had a run as a very successful assistant gymnastics coach, helping the Falcon girls to attain great success in the mid-70s, including a 3rd place finish in the 1974 and 75 state meet. This period of time is when girls' athletics, as we know them today, truly got their start with the emergence of Title IX, as Coach Nelson just mentioned. Prior to this advancement, girls generally only could participate in in-house programs such as GAA, as well as cheerleading, both of which allowed girls to earn a letter. The women who coached these first Minnesota State High School League girls athletic teams were truly pioneers. And Ruth clearly was one of those pioneers to whom the female high school athletes of today owe a great deal of gratitude. The efforts of these women have allowed girls to receive the same benefits and experiences as their male counterparts, learning skills that also propelled them into leadership roles in their adult lives. Have we not learned that if you want something done right and to be done in a highly organized manner, put women in charge? Ruth actually was able to enjoy athletic success in college at Augsburg, and she was inducted into the college's Athletic Hall of Fame both with her entire basketball team in 2007 and as an individual basketball player in 2009. She was also honored as Augsburg's Outstanding Female Athlete her senior year. It's inspiring to see what she's experienced as an athlete herself motivated her to pay it forward to all the female high school athletes of the past 50 years. Lyle was a high school athlete himself and was also a graduate. And Lyle, by the way, Brent wrote down Augsburg, but I know you went to Augustana College. After serving in the Minnesota Army National Guard for over 8 years, thank you for your service, as well as farming for 7 years. He then began a teaching career, starting with 1 year at Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. He then taught social studies in Faribault from 1969 to 1999. He not only supported Ruth in her coaching, but they also worked together to be tremendous supporters of all activities in Faribault throughout their teaching careers and now throughout retirement. It's my honor to welcome Ruth and Lyle Olson to the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame.
I stand here very, very humbly because this is not my comfortable place to be. So, I stand before you knowing all the accomplishments of my fellow inductees, and I congratulate each and every one of you. By way of athletics, in high school and beyond, they have grown and worked diligently to receive high honors, and I congratulate each and every one of you. Thank you to the nominating committee, my family, friends, for supporting me and Lyle with your attending this special occasion. And thanks to Lyle, who was always a phone call away to help when anything needed doing. As for me, not fame. Since moving to Faribault in 1969, we have enjoyed the community, our church, the schools, and of course, Faribault's people. Working with young people in the 70s until retirement in 2020, I have watched young athletes work hard to condition themselves to wanting to do and be better. As athletic liaison between the junior and senior high school in the late 80s to 1999, I experienced numerous highs. From being the knees, thigh person handing out football equipment to 7th grade young men, while Coach Doubles and Coach Tuen called for a dress rehearsal to make sure the pads were in the right place. I had fun running the chains for 7th and 8th grade football. At times, I swept the floor for 9th grade boys basketball and officiated girls volleyball games, scored gymnastics meets, and I have witnessed the dedication and commitment young men and women have made to make themselves better in athletic accomplishments and personal growth. When high school students moved to high school, junior high school students moved to high school, I was able to watch further their performances. I was a wrestling timer for I don't know how many years, gymnastics judge, timer for track meets. I was also privileged to be Kathy Hughes' assistant gymnastics coach, and under Kathy's leadership, we took the girls' gymnastics team to the state and came in third. All this and more, students and student athletes have given me growth and appreciation for the hard work they achieve to make themselves better. As students move on to their careers, having them return home, see and recognize me with a hi, hug, or visit, I am full of gratitude having known Faribault kids and their families. Thank you, you have given me much. The honor goes to Faribault community and schools. Thank you.
I'm speaking, so I'm Joel, I'm their kid. So I'm speaking as dad right now. I want to thank the nominating committee for nominating us for the Hall of Fame Award. My contribution to sports in Faribault over the 50-plus years we have lived here is remarkable. My career started in 1968 and 69 as I started as a teacher and wrestling coach in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. In 1969, we came to Faribault and I began teaching social studies. There were 3 of us that came to Faribault and had been assistant head coaches. Dave Kinney was the winner there. He had extensive experience as a head coach at Tracy and Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
My contribution to Faribault was teaching and working sporting events. I was in charge of concessions at football games for a number of years also. I've had a number of students that were athletes, and if their grades were not up to par, I would talk to the coaches and see how we could work together so the students would not have to be sidelined because of grades. So you skirted the system so kids could be eligible. 1982 wrestling. If students were having concerns outside of class, at home, or with other people, I would talk to them one-to-one and see how we could help them in school and outside of school. I worked track meets and refereed C-squad wrestling meets before the B and varsity meets. I always encouraged students behind the scenes. One of those meets, it wasn't a meet, it was a gymnastics meet. My mom was judging. This is a short story. She was judging at the gym, and my sister and I were with Dad. And my sister was doing gymnastics under those old wooden bleachers, and she broke her arm. And so we had to go to the hospital. Mom was judging or coaching. I can't remember which one it was, but one of those meets. So Dad was always the guy that was there to help us when we broke things. I have to give credit to my wife Ruth, who has been a powerhouse in sports her whole life. She has worked both junior high and senior high events. We have the privilege to have 2 above average and good-looking children go through the sports programs. He wrote that right here. Go through the sports programs in Forest Lake. I was in football. Joel was in football and wrestling, and now I'm at the high school as the principal. Kathy participated in gymnastics, volleyball, and golf for a number of years, and she was also the Female Athlete of the Year her senior year. I've been back here working events when asked to step in and do some tasks, and we attend as many events as we can when we're able. The Faribault community has become our home because of the friends and support we've benefited from. This is a special place, and I feel very fortunate to have found a job here 50 plus years ago. By chance, I came to Faribault. By choice, we stayed and made a life here. Thank you. And now this is from me. Now I'm back to me. Kathy and I are very proud of you. You've been amazing parents and role models. Thank you.
Well, this is on video. Lyle, I think we're past the statute of limitations on those allegations. I know Ruth is still involved. Just a reminder, we have a Booster Club meeting Sunday night that I'm sure she'll be on. So she's still involved in helping out in the community. Up next, we have Chris Palmer. So if Chris goes a little long, I'm not going to mess with it. He can go as long as he wants. When he comes up here, it's how big his arms are. So if he goes long, his Reavers can take him down.
I doubt that. Chris is a 2009 graduate of Bethlehem Academy who lettered in football, basketball, golf, and apparently weightlifting. He excelled in basketball both in high school and in college. At BA, he was a 3-time all-conference player, as well as making All-State his senior year and leading his team to the 2009 state tournament. He finished his career as BA's all-time leading scorer and rebounder. He was a diverse, dangerous scorer from all over the floor, as attested to by his accurate three-point shooting, as well as his occasional dunks and frequent putbacks on the offensive boards. In addition, he became an excellent defender. Chris was deservedly recognized as team MVP his sophomore through senior years, and his teams were Gopher Conference champions in 2007, 8, and 9 as well. Due to his success, he was honored to be invited to play in the Minnesota Basketball Coaches Association All-Star Game following his senior year. Chris also lettered in both football and golf for 3 years, and he attained all-conference recognition on the gridiron, where he was a fierce defensive end who exhibited the same intensity that propelled his success on the hard court. At St. Mary's University, Chris was in the top 5 in Minnesota Intercollegiate Conference in both scoring and rebounding as a freshman, and in the top 2 as a sophomore. As a freshman, he made the all-freshman MIAC team and was named the West Region Rookie of the Year. As a sophomore, he was named first team All-MIAC and he holds the MIAC record for free throws made and attempted in a single game, going 21 for 22 in a game against McAllister. That's a record that he also attests to his aggressive and tough nature around the rim. He finished his career with a half season at the University of Wisconsin-River Falls before retiring upon the birth of his first child, Grace. 3 years ago, Chris started a basketball brand called Homegrown Hoops MN. He, along with his brothers Billy, Joe, and John, all great players in their own right, run basketball camps for youths ranging in ages from 5 to 14. He finds it extremely rewarding to give back to young kids by doing something that he loves, and that doing it with his brothers makes it even more rewarding. It should be mentioned that his three sisters, Maria, Hannah, and Alana, were also all excellent athletes. Parents Brad and Michelle clearly passed on some pretty good genes to their kids. Chris states that discipline, routine, and hunger to improve, the ability to be a team player, mental toughness, critical thinking, unshakable confidence in yourself, a love for the game, and holding people accountable are all a telling theme to the truth and the keys to success. Chris and his wife and devoted supporter Hope have 4 children, Grace, Chase, Brooks, and Avery. Congratulations, Chris, on your induction into the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame.
I will try to keep this brief, but yeah, there are some parts of my story that I do want to share, and some important people that I want to highlight. Without their help, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So as I was thinking about tonight, I spent some time reflecting back on my high school career, and one thing continued to stand out, and that was the fact that I never traveled down the same path as everyone else. For whatever reason, I've always been pretty hard-headed, and my high school journey was full of ups and downs. It was windy, suspensions, getting in trouble, addictions, wins, losses, state tournament appearances, scoring records, all-state selections. You name it, I probably experienced it. But as I stand here today, I really wouldn't take a single thing back, because everything that I went through helped shape me into the man that I am today. And I know that, people will say that, but I truly mean it. You see, I learned real early on just how limited I am when I try to do things my own way, or when I try to follow my own will. Doing things my way always seemed to get me in trouble or left me feeling like I was falling short. But through all this, I discovered something so valuable. I realized how strong I can be when I rely on God and when I make Him the foundation and cornerstone of my life. I realized that by praying and seeking to better understand God's will, things fell into place, and I could finally find the peace that I was always searching for. St. Paul says this about weakness and how we often find God when we're humbled. He says this, "I will not boast about myself except about my weakness, for God's power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me." And every time I read this, it hits me like a ton of bricks, because Paul's telling us that he's in fact most powerful when he doesn't rely on his own resources or his own abilities. And when we're able to admit that we need a Savior and admit our faults and limitations, God can do magical things, and I like to think that I'm living proof of that. So firstly, I want to say thanks to my mom and my dad, Brad and Michelle. Without their loving care and guidance, there's just no way I'd be where I'm at today, and there's no way I could have achieved what I did athletically in high school. My mom never missed a single game, and no matter what, through thick and thin, she always supported me. My mother raised 7 kids, and now that I'm older and have a family of my own, I truly understand the sacrifices that she made in order to put all of us kids first. I love you, Mom. My dad also made huge sacrifices for us. In my entire life, and this is no joke, I don't think I ever recall hearing my dad complain. And believe me, growing up in a house with 7 kids, there was a plethora of subject matter to complain about, but he never did once. My dad's always been a rock in our family, always giving, and never asking for anything in return. One thing my dad always talked to me about and wanted to instill in me was to be a man of integrity. I'm so blessed to have had 2 parents who were able to instill and model what it really looks like to be successful. And not in the way you might think or the way the world defines success, with making lots of money, having fancy cars, big houses. No, they taught us to focus on the things that are eternal and don't waste away. So I love you, Mom and Dad. I'd like to thank my grandma, Constance. In high school, we moved way out into the boonies in Medford, so oftentimes, we'd have 5 o'clock practice or a 7 o'clock game, and I had to make a decision. Do I drive all the way home, or do I just go kick it at Grandma's house? And I'll tell you what, Grandma Connie always made this an easy decision by having pretzels and pickles on deck, which are my 2 favorite foods. And she would always make me the very best pregame meals, which were eggs, bacon, and toast. Along with the snacks and meals, I was able to spend countless hours of precious time just hanging out with my grandma. And she really is one of the strongest women that I know. I'd like to thank my older brother, Bill, for always letting me tag along with him and his friends when we were kids. My brother was 4 years older than me, but growing up, we were always best friends. We shared a room together, and we've experienced so much life together. I'm 30, in the 33 years that I've known my brother Bill, there's one fact that I believe sums up our relationship best, and that's the fact that not even once have we ever gotten into a fight with each other, physical or verbal. Also, now that some time has passed and I think that we're past the statute of limitations, I'd like to publicly thank you for teaching me how to drive at the ripe age of 14 down the streets of Medford, Kenyon, and Faribault. I want to thank my sisters, Maria, Hannah, and Elena, along with my 2 younger brothers, Joe and John. My family really means everything to me, and I know without a shredded doubt that if I ever needed anything, I could call or text any one of my 6 siblings, and at the drop of a hat, they'd be there for me. I want to thank Coach Franz Bolter for putting up with me back in the day. And for those who don't know, Franz is a pretty intense coach. And like I said, my brother Bill was 4 years older than me. So I remember watching all his basketball games when I was in middle school. And I'll be honest, I was pretty terrified of Coach Bolter. But after I started playing for him, I realized he wasn't actually that scary. And by the time my high school career was over, I was so grateful to have played for him. He held me to a high standard and coached me hard because he believed in me and wanted the best for me. When I was struggling with some personal things early in my high school career, Coach brought me outside before practice and he said this to me. He said, "Chris, you need basketball a lot more than basketball needs you." And I was a bit confused, and I wasn't able to fully comprehend the message he was trying to get across to me. But Coach Bolter knew I needed basketball in high school because I needed the routine, I needed the structure, and I needed to have a healthy outlet and something I could do to feel proud of. He knew that if I had continued to get in trouble, continued to get suspended from sports, and had I lost the privilege to play basketball, things could have really gone downhill for me. Basketball's really helped me in more ways than I can count, and I thank you for everything, Coach. Lastly, I want to thank my wife, Hope, and for those who don't know, Hope and I started dating way back in middle school. So if my math is correct, that means that we have been together for nearly 2 decades, and I can't even begin to explain everything the 2 of us have been through and experienced over the course of those 20 years. There's one thing I can say with absolute certainty, and that is that Hope has always been my biggest fan. She's never missed a single game in high school or during my college career. And a quick funny story, Coach Franz might remember this one along with my dad. And I'm not going to tell the story about what happened in New Richland where Hope put on my tearaway warm-up pants. I kind of ripped them off accidentally at center court, and we're not going to get into that one, but I do remember traveling home on the bus, though, after a basketball game in Randolph, and it was a snowy, icy Minnesota night. So as the bus is taking 20 to 30, big smelly guys home from a basketball game, we noticed a little green Alero in the ditch. And keep in mind, we're pretty much out in the middle of nowhere. So as we get closer, we notice that it's Hope, and she's flagging us down for help. And this was before the cell phone era, I think. So basically, I remember Coach telling the bus driver to stop. We picked her up and we traveled home, with the entire basketball team. She traveled back with us. So I'm pretty sure we sat in the back of the bus and had a heck of a ride home. In college, I thought that this streak would be broken. In college, I had a game that was all the way in Chicago, but Hope made the 6-hour drive so she could be there, and I believe that Lisa actually drove with her, who's my mother-in-law. And at the time, I didn't truly understand or appreciate how much Hope sacrificed in order to always be there for me. To me, it was just normal, and it was what she always did. But as I've grown and matured over the years, I can much better appreciate everything that she's done for me and the sacrifices that she's made in order to be there for me. She's been with me through all the highs and all the lows, and I can never thank her enough for always believing in me and pushing me to be the best version of me that I could be. When I didn't believe in myself, Hope always did, and there's no way that I would be where I'm at today without her support. A couple years ago, a student of mine told me this. He said, "A good friend knows all your best stories, but a best friend has lived them out with you." And I feel so blessed to be married to my best friend who not only knows all my best stories, but has experienced everything with me and knows me inside and out. I want to give a shout out quickly to Lisa for coming here tonight. She's been like a second mom to me since I was 14. And also to my 4 kids, Grace, Chase, Brooks, and Avery. Grace and Chase are here with us tonight. And I just want you guys to remember, the kids, Grace, Chase, that mom loves you, dad loves you, your family loves you, and God loves you. Thank you. I'm honored to be here. Thanks a lot.
Best for last, Abby. It's funny, she got here first. She was here at like 4:45 and so excited to give her presentation. I did ask if she wanted to go in reverse order, but she's a good soldier, and I don't know how many glasses of wine she's had, but she's ready to rock and roll. Chris?
A 1999 graduate of Bethlehem Academy, Abby was a 3-sport letter winner at BA in volleyball, basketball, and golf. It was in volleyball that she excelled, as she earned 5 letters, becoming part of BA's varsity rotation in 8th grade. Her teams won 2 conference championships and runners-up twice. They also started what would become a 136-match conference winning streak for BA, with 38 straight of their own. She was also the setter for 2 current Faribault Sports Hall of Famers and BA greats, Nicole Trinka Hess and Rhonda Novichevsky. Thank you. Coach Bettler still maintains that she had the best hands and accuracy of all the great setters who ever played for BA. In addition, she was all conference for 4 years, a team MVP, and at the time of her graduation, BA's career leader in assists and ace serves. Abby chose to bypass playing volleyball in college, instead concentrating on academics at the University of St. Thomas. But after college, Abby returned to BA to coach, first in the middle school, then as the B squad coach and varsity assistant. Her B squads had 8 straight undefeated conference seasons, and she was instrumental in helping the varsity win 5 straight championships and 2 states runner-up. She also coached junior volleyball at several levels for BA each spring, and the players and parents loved her. Coach Bettler and other BA coaches were always so impressed with her total volleyball knowledge, being an ardent daily follower of all Minnesota high school volleyball and the college game, including her beloved Gophers. In the estimation of Coach Bettler, she had decided to further her coaching career. She would have made an outstanding head coach who taught the game and life skills at a very, very high level. Even today, she uses those great people skills in the business world. Abby feels that the keys for success in athletics or life in general lie in a combination of factors that include dedication, discipline, and a strong mindset. She says that athletes who strive for greatness understand the importance of consistent hard work and perseverance, goal setting, and a commitment to rigorous training, pushing their limits, and continually seeking improvement are critical. She also states that being in athletics offers valuable parallels to real life by teaching other crucial life skills such as teamwork, good time management, and necessary sacrifices. She is grateful for all the things she learned from her own coaches as well as her fellow coaches, and she loved having the chance to play with and coach so many outstanding young women. Abby and her husband Paul live in the South Metro, and they continue to be huge sports fans. Congratulations, Abby, on being inducted into the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame.
I don't know if it's the best for last, but I get to be last. And thank you for that introduction. It is such a privilege to be standing here with these other exceptional athletes and coaches who are also being inducted into the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame 2023 class. Congratulations to you all. Words cannot express my appreciation for this recognition, and I truly am humbled by the opportunity to join such an esteemed group of people. Thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for considering my achievements and nominating me for this prestigious honor. Also, a special thank you to Franz Bolter for your guidance, mentorship. You have been unwavering in your support, expertise, and belief in my abilities, not only as a volleyball player, but also as a coach. You have shaped my athletic journey, and I owe a significant part of my success to you. Over the years, I've cherished the invaluable lessons and inspiration you've provided. But I must admit, I can't trust your fashion advice when you once came to practice with a black shoe on one foot and a brown shoe on the other. My varsity volleyball career started in the summer of 1994. Tragedy had struck the BA community when we lost Jackie Reichert in a devastating car accident. This loss not only deeply affected our community, it also created a significant void in Franz's fall varsity roster. Jackie's absence pushed Franz to explore different grade levels in search of new and promising talent, and I was selected. When the season began, our starting lineup consisted of 4 relatively inexperienced underclassmen, but we were super excited to be on the court. If you flipped open the Faribault Daily News on September 21st, 1994, you would have come across the headline, BA suffers defeat against Janesville, 15-6, 15-0, and 15-4, with Franz being quoted as saying, "We got off to just a horrendous start, and it seemed to get worse as the night went on." This was often the season's headline. In fact, our home games performances were so poor, it actually compelled Franz to try a new approach. He decided to treat our home games as if they were away games by caravanning the team on a loop to Medford and back. True story. Simulating the experience of traveling to an away match. Not sure if it really worked or not. You'll have to ask him. Needless to say, Franz's visionary outlook extended beyond our own, and this mental preparedness was one of the stepping stones to start pushing us in the right direction. As I entered my freshman year, Franz wanted me to switch from an outside hitter to a setter, and my teammate Renee Karen was being recruited by our fast pitch coach to be a pitcher. After months of negotiations, we agreed to our new roles, and an incredible journey began. Along with Renee and 2 other volleyball legacies, Nicole Trinka-Hess and Rhonda Thibault-Norshevsky, the Faribault Daily News coined us as the Fab Four. 4 for the floor, and the 4 of us were committed to putting BA volleyball on the map. With the guidance of Ken Trinka and Franz's strategies, we dove headfirst into the world of Junior Olympics, held player-led practices because coaches couldn't coach in the off-season back then, and organized alumni scrimmage nights. I kid you not, Franz would bribe anyone or anything to stand on the other side of the net. In fact, we actually scrimmaged 6 on 2 old dads often, and I'm pretty sure they beat us most nights. We attended camps, endured grueling practices filled with approaches and reaction drill, you have no idea, ran until our legs felt like jelly, did more push-ups than we thought humanly possible. And let's be honest, we felt like we had been set, spiked, and served into a whole new dimension of exhaustion. We lived and breathed volleyball, but we got better, and more importantly, we were having fun. The year-round playing really advanced our skills at a rapid pace, and we began to experience success. We fully embraced the enjoyable volleyball traditions of pasta night, the rule of no talking to boys before games, and adhering to a nightly curfew. And yes, Franz did occasionally make surprise calls to ensure we were compliant with his team rules. We bought into his vision, set some lofty goals, and 2 years later we became Gopher Conference champions. And we used this success as a momentum and carried it deep into the playoffs for the years to come. Community excitement really started to soar for BA volleyball. And during lunchtime, we would often hear chants of "off with the leg" as our super fans playfully cut off stuffed toy spider legs representing an opponent we had beat the night before. Our determination and spirit proved unstoppable against a tough road of opponents, and unfortunately we lost out to legendary Stewartville in our deepest section run. Even though the game didn't end as we hoped, we would agree it was an incredible journey. I was fortunate to have wonderful teammates who made every moment on the volleyball court count. Together we embraced challenges, celebrated victories, and really learned from our setbacks. Our dedication and pursuit of excellence propelled us to reach new heights and really inspired future BA volleyball players to continue the winning tradition. After I graduated from college, Franz reached out to me in search of a junior high coach. At that time, I never thought of getting into coaching or even thought it'd be something that I could be good at. After some consideration, I knew I had firsthand knowledge from being on the court, understood the dynamics of the game, and could draw from personal experiences. The only adjustments needed were getting used to rally scoring and the introduction of a libero for the back row. Coaching volleyball really became a natural extension of my passion for the sport. And I should mention, Franz bribed me with an exceptionally talented 7th grade class that included Hall of Famers Carrie Ann Nass and Holly Halfmeyer. After spending 3 years at the junior high level, I went on to enjoy 9 seasons as the junior varsity head coach and joined Franz and Sue Jandro as an assistant on the varsity team. They helped me grasp advanced aspects of the game and emphasize the importance of building strong player-coach relationships, some of my most cherished memories. Our coaching philosophy was focused on developing mental toughness, playing to win, and to get the next point. But it was enriched with engaging activities like Crazy Sock Day and Wacky T-Shirt Wednesday, which contributed to a lively atmosphere. These bonding experiences played a pivotal role in solidifying relationships with my 8th through 10th graders, resulting in 8 conference titles. And as you heard, also with the varsity team, I was able to be a part of 9 conference champions, going to the state tournament 7 years and winning 5 of those. Our coaching collaboration was marked not only by serious business, but also by a lot of enjoyment. We were often the target of playful pranks at themed preseason parties, participated in annual fall trips to watch former players in college, initiated scavenger hunts completed with charades and red lipstick, and Sue and I shared memorable moments at state tournaments being roommates. Sue, a powerhouse of passion and inspiration, always brimmed with boundless enthusiasm. Together, we were the best strategizers, the scouters of future opponents, and the best coach pepper partners. Working alongside both her and Franz, I consider myself exceptionally fortunate to have been guided by 2 of the best volleyball mentors in the state. In closing, I would like to just express my gratitude to my family for their unwavering support in my journey as both a player and a coach. To my parents, who my mom's here, my dad's in the nursing home. They were super fans, cheering at every game, and my brother was always in the student section pumping up the crowd. Their constant encouragement, love, and belief in me has been a driving force, and I am forever grateful for their support. Now, if I could only get my nieces, Camilla and Quinn, to follow in my footsteps. Lastly, one heartfelt appreciation to my husband, Paul, for graciously allowing me to keep my 100-pound memorabilia bin on the storage room shelf, despite his occasional complaints. Paul made significant sacrifices, giving up countless nights and weekends so I could coach in tournaments and matches. He frequently attended games, although he would never prioritize BA volleyball over his beloved Gopher football schedule. His unwavering support and understanding have been instrumental in my volleyball career, and I am blessed to have had him on this incredible journey with me. Thank you.
Again, I just want to thank everyone for their attendance and participation tonight. Let's give a round of applause to Chris Reavers for doing the introduction. Someone said you had a face for radio, and they were right.
100%.
And again, just one more round of applause for the class of 2023. And then again, our committee is always looking for nominations. There was forms downstairs on the table. We do have a Facebook page. We got at least that going for us. No website or anything, but we have nominations forms. We'll post on that. We're always looking for ideas. So again, thank you for all being here. Thanks to the Country Club, and have a great evening.